Hi guys, it's Lily of the Galley here. If you don't know me, I'm a yacht chef in the Bahamas working on a sailboat with my boyfriend Nick. Yeah, I constantly been asked how I write my menus, so I thought I'd give a little video on the behind the scenes of how that process goes about. The one key thing to remember about being a yacht chef is preparation is everything. We go away for 8 days at a time and there's only one small tiny island store we go past, so you cannot re-provision for a charter on that. So we need to make sure we get everything beforehand in NASA and make sure it's going to last the whole 8 days without running out of anything. Before each charter starts, the guest will send me a preference sheet. This preference sheet will cover their dislike, allergies, things they love, any celebrations, if they want to dine off the boat. So all of these will be considered when I'm writing the menus. This becomes my blueprint, it guides what I cook and helps me avoid any surprises whilst we're at sea. So when we get to the menu planning process, I start with this template. I've used this template for about 3 years and it's honestly just a base skeleton shell with categories breakfast, lunch, dinner, like canapé/snack, then dessert. And then I go in, fill the dates, or the charter dates. I look at the preference sheet to see if they want to dine off the boat. If they do so, I'll block off those meals so I can prepare for the correct amount of meals. You don't really want to have too much extra because it will just go to waste. So with my breakfast, I then write those in. I try to alternate with savoury and sweet breakfast every other day, obviously depending on if they would like that. But say if they've given me realms to me, I would do like a more savoury based breakfast one day, like a frittata, and the next day I would do a sweeter breakfast like pancakes. And in those breakfasts, I always include a fruit platter because everyone loves the fruit platter. Do a yogurt pot with granola for a lighter breakfast option. And then I also always do some protein, either like bacon or sausage. And I also do eggs in whatever form they would like. Typically, I make my scrambled eggs on the first day of charter and the guests then request them nearly every other day. So also a really easy one to do for a lot of people. So then moving on from breakfast, I then move on to lunch and dinner. For this, I make sure I alternate between like a fish dish for lunch and then a meat dish for dinner. And I try and alternate those throughout the day, throughout the whole week, just to keep it interesting. I also make sure I switch up my carbs, so I wouldn't want to do like 2 potato dishes on the same day or consecutive days. I try and do like maybe like a rice dish and then like a potato dish for dinner, and I try and do that just so it's not ever eating the same thing twice. And another key thing, I make sure all my meals include a vegetable or a salad. For example, if I'm doing like a white fish dish, I'll pick like the protein, then I'll pick the carbs, and say if I did potatoes, then I'd pick the greens to go with it. I normally would then do like some roasted tomatoes and some sauteed green beans, and that would be the dish. So the main thing about writing a menu is that no 2 days feel the same. Also, a great way to get inspo for menus and stuff, where I get a lot of inspo from, is Pinterest. Say if you have a base idea in your head and you just need help, type that base meal in and then you'll see loads of different things come up and you might get some inspiration. With plating and stuff, Pinterest is great because you can type in like, say if you're doing more like family friendly boards like in the middle, you could type in breakfast pancake platter and then it will come up with these platters, and then you can just take what you want from their ideas and recreate it yourself. The next point I'd like to make is adjusting for dietary needs. This is something that I often have to do, and this probably goes to every yacht chef out there. If someone's vegetarian or one person's gluten-free, the best way to go about this, because it can be hard work making a whole separate meal. For this, I write the base menu for everyone else, and then I go through and look at how I can substitute the protein for something vegetarian. And instead of like having to rework the whole dish and do 2 separate dishes completely, I try to just change that single element of the dish if possible, just to make it way more manageable, especially in the size of my kitchen is very small and my own time. It's only me doing this. I have to do all the washing up and stuff as well. Just being mindful of not doing 2 separate dishes will be a game changer. So for example, for this, if I'm doing a steak night, I will do steak for everyone else and then I will substitute the steak for a cauliflower seared steak for the vegetarian option. It keeps things streamlined in the kitchen if everyone's eating a similar kind of meal. Also, it doesn't make people feel left out if everyone's having a pizza night, like the vegetarian or the other dietary preference will also want a pizza night. You don't want to make them feel isolated for having a dietary preference. Another thing I need to mention, say if I'm doing an Indian style dinner, I'll try and do my snack and dessert with a similar sort of flavour. So I might do the snack as onion bhajis, and I might add like a mango sorbet to the dessert to make it all fit with the main event. Once I've got all these menus written, it's now time to start writing the shopping list. This is probably my least favourite thing to do, just because it's kind of nerve-wracking. You don't want to miss anything off. But I do have some tips here that I'd like to share with you guys. At the start of the season, I pre-write ingredient lists for the most common charter meals. So because our charters are back to back to back, I often repeat some of the same meals. For this, I create like a master list and write beef ragu, for example, and I have all the ingredients underneath it that I need for that meal. And I'll do this for all my popular meals. This does take some time, but honestly, this saves me so much time, especially when you have such a tight turnaround. You can just then copy and paste the meals once you've written your menu plan. And then this is where I think this is a game changer as well. I then use ChatGPT. I like write my very unorganized list in a very scrambled order. I like to have it all categorized in order when I'm in the supermarket. So I go on ChatGPT, I copy and paste the list in, and I ask it to reorganize the whole list. So it's so simple when I go into the store. I also would say, and this is something I always do, I always write out from the menu plan, like the original menu plan, I write out the proteins on a piece of paper for each dish, because I feel like if you don't have the proteins for the dish, like you're kind of screwed. Like you can't do a beef ragu without the beef. You can't get away with not having it. My first time doing this kind of video. I hope you guys like these kind of longer form style videos. To do more, I think doing long form YouTube videos is something I've been really wanting to do. I feel like you guys don't really get to know me from Instagram, whereas this feels a bit more personal. So let me know if you have any video ideas or like anything you'd like to see. I'd love to do more. I know Nick would like to do some more. I'm thinking about doing a Q&A with him. So if you guys have any questions for me, let me know in the comments and I'll go answer that. But yeah, I forgot to even say, like, once you've got all your shopping lists, you can head to the shops and prepare for your charter. It is a whole thing preparing for a charter, but trust me, if you're prepared, organised, have good lists, good menu plans, like the actual charter is so much easier and it really does take the pressure off. So I would definitely, like, once you get these menu plans, it would even work for if you're not on a boat. Like, you don't have to be on a boat if you have a party coming up. You want to plan for your own meals for the week. Just like do that kind of format, alternate, keep it interesting for yourself, and I think you'd be more inclined to eat at home and feel less stressed about the meals you have. This is my first YouTube video that I've edited myself, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's been really fun talking to this camera, which I also spent so much money on and I've never used, so it'd be great to get it out more. Thank you guys so much for the support always, and see you guys soon, hopefully on YouTube.